Hey, welcome to Real Life in 5-ish. We're taking a little bit of a video approach to this. Just wanted to get some teachings out to you that might help you if you're in a faith funk right now. I think many of us are feeling that right now because of the last 18 months. We feel kind of stuck. Maybe you've been a Christian for a long time and you feel like whatever it is that you're doing is not enough to take you to the next level. Maybe you're beginning to wonder, is it your Bible? Is it your faith? Is it your church? And so we're giving you 5 ways to get you out of your faith funk, and they work best if you do all 5 of them. So last week we started by talking about the first thing that can help you is to gather purposefully. Meaning, whether you're watching online or in person, you are doing so to engage with other people, not just to consume information. And obviously, it probably works best if you're in one of our campuses and engaging with people around there, but that's another conversation for another time. If you missed part 1, make sure you check that out. Today, I want to continue on by looking at the early church and figure out how they were able to motivate themselves into a brand new faith journey by not just gathering purposefully, but the second thing that they did. Let's take a look at what it says here in Acts chapter 2. It says they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, the breaking of bread, and to prayer. All right, that word fellowship, this is kind of where we want to drill down on today, is this word koinonia. And it really means this shared kind of life. It means that you have power in your relationships, that you really are better together. Now, scroll down to verse 44. It says, all the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes, and they ate together with glad and sincere hearts. Everything in common does not mean that they all thought the same. In fact, there were people coming from all over Israel to be together, and there were people that used to be Gentiles only or Samaritans that are now part of this conversation because of their renewed or new interest in Jesus. Now they're together. That gives us our second way to grow out of our faith funk is to connect deeply. To connect deeply. Now, I want to give you a brief, visual of what this kind of looks like in our lives. All of us have people in our lives. And since the onslaught of social media, we have fans, we have followers, we have people we follow, we have influences in our lives, and we are an influence on somebody else. The question is, how deeply are you connected to them? So I wanted to give you this little teaching. It's called the Johari window. It was developed back in the 50s by a couple of psychologists, and they discovered that there are basically 4 different panes that we look through in a window of looking at somebody else's life or them looking at us. This is how we connect with each other. The first is what they call the arena. In other words, this is what I know about me and what you know about me. In fact, you know that I'm 6'3". You know that I'm a big fan of Kansas City. You know that I would prefer to wear tennis shoes to dress shoes. You know that's just who I am. And there are things that I know about you that you let me know. But then there's another window, and that's the masks. Okay? These are the things that I put up in front of you because I want you to know this, but I don't want you to know what's behind the mask. Maybe for you, it's you're always happy, but inside you're not. Maybe for you, you're constantly just critical because it's a defense mechanism. It's the mask that you put up, and they don't really know what's on the other side. There's a third quadrant to this as well, and that is the blind spot. This is the spinach in your teeth that you don't know about, but everybody else does. This is your tendency to overreact, or your tendency to underreact, your tendency to be passive-aggressive. Nobody wants to tell you about, but they know it, you don't. But then there's this fourth window, and that is potential. And that is what other people see in you that you could become, but yet maybe you don't see it. Or that might even be the hopes and dreams you have, but nobody else sees that in you. Here's the point of the Johari window. All of us have certain people in some of these areas. Very few of us have people in each of these 4 areas in our life. This is the power of what the early church did. They were in each other's life, all up in their grill, up in their business, so that they could be able to speak truth to one another. In fact, there's this great passage we read about in the letter to the Hebrews towards the latter part of our New Testament, where it says, "Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful." In other words, we're not going to swerve away from these truths that we've been taught. And let us consider how we may spur one another on to love and good deeds. We're going to, almost like a cowboy with spurs on his boots, is able to gently, or sometimes not so gently, motivate the horse. We're going to motivate each other to love and good deeds. And then we're also going to not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing. Now that verse there got overused and misinterpreted so much over the COVID season, because this was the claim churches made as to why we should continue to meet. The reality is, this meeting together was not thousands of people in an enclosed room. It were groups of people in homes, outdoors, temple courts, different idea. As some are in the habit of doing, but encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. In other words, being connected to a community of faith grows our faith. I know with our community group that when we get together on a weekly basis, it used to only be on Zoom, and now we gather outdoors in a park. When we get together and we go around, how are you doing? There's a reality that comes out. We share things we wouldn't normally share to people in the grocery store. There's even a reality that comes out between married couples when they begin to express something the other one was not even aware of just yet. And it pulls things out of people, which allows us to see each other from all spots on this Johari window. Right now, at all of our campuses, we are developing more and more ways for you to grow in your faith this way. The best thing for you to do is go through Thrive, which will help you determine where you need to take those next steps. We have connection groups, which helps you get connected to other people. These are men's events and women's events and couples events, and just really cool things that you can do to start that process. And then we have community groups. And these groups are designed to help you grow deeper and closer together. I encourage you to take that step, and that will help you out of your faith funk.